Hey everybody, my name is Mackenzie Gary. I'm an entrepreneur located in Louisville, Kentucky. For one of the businesses that I own, I manage a greenhouse and I sell produce. I'd like to eventually grow it into having my own consumer packaged good, but that's a little bit further down the line. So today I kind of wanted to show you what I do to plan for the growing season. Since next week I'm going to be starting sprouts and getting stuff going for this year, I thought why not make a video and show you how I prepare and kind of give you a tour of these of this spreadsheet that I made that helps me organize. So on this page, well, first of all, this sheet I named it Produce Sprouting and Growing Information. And on this tab, I have vegetable growing data. So I just collected all of this information online about different types of produce, right? Like dill, cucumber, pickling cucumbers, beefsteak tomatoes, Roma, etc. That's a fruit, vegetable, or herb name. Then I collected like germination period in days, in weeks, days to mature. This will tell me how long it takes for the seeds to germinate, on average. And then this will tell me, how long it'll take for the plants to mature. Then I have like a total grow day, days to grow. Um, this this becomes really relevant when you start trying to um, have things mature at the same time. When you start trying to schedule like harvesting. So then I also collect information like temperature preference, plants per square foot. I use a method of gardening called square foot gardening. And I do that in order to try to maximize how much I can harvest, my yield per square foot, since I have a limited space. I also collect information on sowing preference, whether it's direct sow. Do I just put the seed directly into the ground and just set it and forget it, or do I need to transplant the seedling? So I keep track of that kind of stuff. I keep track of soil pH as preference too. I've noticed that that doesn't make a huge deal for how I'm growing, but I think it would if I was doing things at a larger scale over a larger area. And then I also keep track of like the brand that I use um, for seeds. So yeah, that's this first page, vegetable growing data. The next thing that I do is I keep track of a growing layout. There's a ton of colors and numbers and abbreviations here, but really this is just a bird's eye view of the area that I have used for growing. You can see I've labeled them a cool bed and a warm bed. Those growing temperatures, I actually separated out into two different beds. I have the warmer bed over here, things that I grow later in the season that like warmer weather, and then a cool bed, things that I can plant in the earlier season that like cooler weather. So here is it's a graph paper, right? And each one of these boxes is 1 square foot. And then I give each vegetable that I want to grow, I give it an abbreviation and I assign it a color. And then I mark how many plants per square foot go in there. So, for example, this box is dill. Let's see, dill right here. And from what I found online, it said, there should be 9 dill plants per square foot. And then I sum all of the plants right here. And so for this layout, that means I need 18 dill plants. So I do this for the entire garden. You know, right here I have like a row of cucumbers. You can see Q for cucumbers right here. 2 plants per square foot. And I have, let's see, four, 8, right? So 16 plants total. And really, that just helps me keep track of how many seedlings I need, how many starts I need, which really helps me in my opinion. Um, so yeah, over here I have 16 square feet, 4 feet by 4 feet. This is a new addition. This is garlic right here. I have an herb plot right here, another 16 square feet. Chives, thyme, oregano, and rosemary. And then over here, I have things like Roma tomatoes, cherry tomatoes, beefsteak tomatoes. Onions are right here, hot peppers, basil, bell peppers. Now, the hot peppers did really well last year. They did a little bit better than the bell peppers. My bell peppers were on the smaller side, but the hot peppers did really well. The onions, they didn't do too well. I think they may have gotten shaded out by the tomato plants. I'm not sure if they got enough sun. Um, Another thing that could happen, I think maybe the soil might have been a little bit too dense. Maybe I need some looser soil or something like that, right? So this helps me conceptualize and visualize, you know, changes I might make. Maybe this year I move the onions out. Maybe I put them somewhere else. Maybe I get a box and put it right here in the yard, right? Something else that got shaded out were these string beans. I'm probably not going to be planting string beans again this year. Maybe something else. Down here you can see I had lettuces. I had about 60 heads of lettuce. And then here I had carrots. And then I had beets right here, but they got eaten by some rabbits that we have out here. So some wild rabbits. So yeah, you can see right here, I kind of split them up into direct sow and transplant, right? I know which ones get transplanted and which ones get direct sow. And this shows me, how many seeds I can expect or how many sprouts I can expect to use. So yeah, that's kind of my layout. This was about 100 square feet last year. And this year, I'm actually going to be scaling up to just over 1,000 square feet, about 10 times the space. Luckily, a state park very close to me has a program where you can rent 20-foot by 20-foot plots for about $40 a year. So I'm going to be renting 2 plots this year in order to grow more. I haven't organized what's going where yet, but I believe I'm going to use these plots for. I'd like to use them for potatoes, zucchini, squash, and maybe some extra tomatoes over there. But things like that. That's what I'd like to use them for. And then that brings us to the growing schedule. I set this up to help me organize when to start sprouts and how to do things like that. So here I have the date at the top, 2/1/2/8. It goes across. And then on the left hand side here, I have the plant: dill, cucumber, pickling cucumber, peas. So I also separated them out into time periods. So blue is germination, yellow is when the plant is growing, and green is when the plant is maturing or it's time to harvest. So this says, just a quick overview. This says for dill, it likes cooler, shaded areas. And I start those sprouts on 3/15. So next week, I'll be starting these dill sprouts. So that dill sprout will take a couple weeks before I transplant it. It said direct sow on the vegetable growing data, but last year I experimented. I direct sowed some dill, and then I transplanted some other dill, and I saw that the method that I was using the direct sow was actually worse in yield than my method of transplanting. So this year, I'm just going to transplant instead of direct sow. So you can see this is kind of the schedule. This red line is the average last frost date for the area I live in, Louisville, Kentucky. So you can see I'm starting all of these sprouts right here before the last frost deadline. And what is this? This looks like lettuce. So lettuce I'll transplant, I guess, a little bit earlier. But I have methods of keeping lettuce, stuff like lettuce and other plants warm. So you can see here my goal is to have things mature and be ready to harvest around the same time. So you can see here for the cooler bed, things are ready in June, early June. And then you can see for the warmer stuff, it's ready about a month later. And then I repeat at the end of the season. Now, there are some things that I want to do a little bit differently this year when it comes to like iceberg lettuce and maybe the carrots and even the peas. What I found is that last year I planted 60 heads of lettuce, right? But I don't need all 60 heads at the same time. I had 60 heads of lettuce that matured in the same week, right? So this year I'm going to be spreading out the sprouts, right? I'll have, maybe 10 heads of lettuce a week that mature. So that way I don't get a ton of lettuce all at once. I can then get, I can grow all of the lettuce that I need, but I can spread it out over the course of, 6 weeks or however long I want. So that's what I'm going to do. I might do 10 sprouts on 322, then wait a week and do 10 more sprouts on 329, and kind of, spread it out. I'd like to do the same thing with peas. Pickling cucumbers, not so much. Those just kept producing last year. I'm just going to do the same method. And maybe the carrots as well. All of these warmer things, they were fine, the way they were. So the other stuff I have in here is like farmers market information, zone schedules. This kind of tells me when to plant stuff, and then like find zones. I have like a client list and then packaging costs and stuff like that that I keep track of. And so yeah, after I complete all of this stuff, I use it outside, and I actually go plant the stuff. I get the sprouts ready, and I just execute on everything in here that I plan. So in my next video, I'd like to kind of show you the space that I'm working with and maybe show you how I start sprouts, and we'll go from there. So thank you guys very much for tuning in, and tune into the next video, and take care.